Everyone, welcome to Everything Programming Pro. So in today's video we are going to learn how to create a custom searchable dropdown in React. So I'll tell you how the dropdown will look like. So the thing that we're going to create is this particular component where we will fetch data from an API and it will be displayed right like this, and when we hit on close this will go away, and as soon as we hit open, now you can search any value. Let's search Irvin. We searched ER and you can see ER is here and ER is also here, so both the values are coming. And let's search Nicholas. If I search Nicholas, only one Nicholas will be shown. So that's how we will create this drop down, and let's start the video. So now let's learn how to make this drop down. So first of all, we will create a new component right over here. Let's create a new folder first. That's the best practice, right? So we'll create a new component folder, and inside the component folder we'll create our component that is dropdown.jsx, right? So in dropdown.jsx we'll again simply export the component dropdown, which is going to be a component, and it will return us for now a very basic div, right? So we will create this. Yeah, so now the drop down is here. Let me just put a blank text over here that tells us that the component is exported properly or not, right? So now what we'll do is we will import that drop down here, that is drop down, and I'll just do this, and you can see the drop down is here. That means the drop down component is imported, right? Now let's start with the process of building the drop down. So since this is a custom searchable drop down in React, that means it is going to have an input that will search for us, right? So now let's put another div over here, and I'll tell you why I'm putting these divs, so that you can always design it and beautify it the way you want. I'll be mostly doing the functionality, right? So I'll put a input component over here. The input is here, and yes, the input is here. So we'll put a placeholder, right? A placeholder which says search, right? Or maybe, yeah, I think this will also work, right? So what we'll do is here we'll put a use state, that is const, we'll write it as input and set input, or maybe since this is a search, so we'll write it as search and set search is equal to use state, and initial value will be a empty string, right? So search is here. Now on change of this search, handle search, this is going to be a function that you are going that will be used to search the drop down. So we'll create that function right over here. This is going to be an arrow function, and again what it will take is it will take a event, and it will set the search as event dot target dot value. This way whatever we enter here will automatically get set as the value of search using this setter function, right? So now let's do one thing. Let's also add how the API call part of it. That means as soon as, since drop down do need data, right? So we have a JSON placeholder API that I'll just copy and I'll paste it right over here just for your reference, that this is the API that we're going to use to get the values of the drop down, right? So this is here, and now what I'll do is we'll put a use effect where we will fetch the data, right? So this is here, and we'll put the dependency array right over here. So for fetching the data I'm going to use Axios, And for you, if you're using a local system, then this is a code sandbox. I can directly add dependencies right over here. But if you are in your VS Code or somewhere, you can just write npm I and exhaust, and this way you'll be able to install exhaust right into your project, right? So as soon as the page is mounted, what we'll do is, let's create a iffy, that is an immediately invoked function, and function that invokes itself, right? So we'll write a async iffy, and in this iffy what we'll do is, the response is equal to exhaust. We'll have to add exhaust first, that is import exhaust from exhaust, and this way we'll put exhaust dot get, and inside that we will put this API so that it fetches data for us, right? So as soon as this happens, we'll write console.log, and we'll hit we'll hit, my bad, I think something went wrong, so I'll simply remove this part and we'll refresh this page. Okay, something is wrong. Okay, no issues. I'll just console.log, and we'll hit a response, and here it will be response.data, right? This way I'll just save it, and let's hit okay. I'll just for the running this, because there is the sandbox and it always do have some issues, right? So this is an async function. We have to await this call. That means it's a promise that needs to be resolved, right? So if I save it and I just open the console, you will see we are getting data right over here, right? So what we'll do is, right below, so this input is here, and also let's put a button component also, which you can again place as, you can put a, what do we call it, a arrow or whatever icon you can put in your real projects, right? So on this, on click, what we'll do is, whatever the value of, so we'll have to put a state which tells whether the drop down is open or not. So initially the drop down is going to be closed, so initially it will be false, and as soon as this opens, whatever the value of state is, we'll simply write not of state, right? So as soon as we hit save, and initially, and here what we have to do is, we'll again put a div right below this one this time, and in this div what we are going to do is, we are going to render the, okay, we have to also put the data into a state, the data that is fetched from the API, right? So we write data, and we write set data over here, and use state, and this way initially it will be an empty array, and as soon as the API call is successful, we put this data as response dot data, right? And here what we'll do is, we'll data dot map again, because data is going to be, so I'll just close this thing, data dot map, and object, and the index of the object, and what we'll do is, we'll return the span, a value, right? This way what we'll do is obj dot name. Yeah, so but the, okay, not a span, let's render a div so that everything comes on the next line. Now the another thing, that this will only be visible whenever open is true, right? So now if you will see, if we click on open, we are able to see this. If I click on open again, and this will go away. And for the text of open, we can again put a condition over here. If open is there, we write close, and if open is not there, we write open. If we enter, and now it says close, open, close, right? This way this is working. Now the tricky part is how to add search in this particular value. So now data is already here, right? And also let's do one more thing. Let's put a use effect and again put a dependency array, and in this dependency array we'll put the value of search, right? So search is here, and now what we will do is, so we have to filter the new values, right? For this we have to, since we are rendering the names over here, what we'll have to do is, so as soon as the use effect, and someone puts a value over here, we will, okay, this is data, and let's also put another state which will be used to display the data. This is set searched data and searched data, right? So instead of mapping on this, we map here, and with set data again we set the second data as well, that is set searched data, right? This way both states will have the new whatever data comes from the API, right? Now what we'll do is, in this particular use effect, const new value, which is going to be data dot filter, right? And what we are going to filter is, since this is going to be an object, and here we will see if object dot name dot includes, includes object dot name, if any of that thing includes the searched value, that is search dot to lowercase, object data dot name dot to lowercase, right? If object is here and object dot name is here, so that thing will come into this new value, and again we will put set searched data as new value, right? If we'll write if search dot length, if search dot length, that means we have searched some data, then we will use this logic. And my bad, if search is not here, let's say you have not put search, then the else part would be set searched data as data. This way let's see if the logic works or not. So as soon as I click on hit open, this is here. Let's search the second name, ER, and you can see whatever thing contains ER, let's put it in small also. ER is here, and this will work. Or maybe let's search Glenna, right? So I'll just copy and I'll paste it. Glenna Richard is here. So this way you can create a custom searchable drop down. That's how this whole thing works. Now you can add more functionality to it. Maybe you make these options a little more beautiful, and you put an icon right over here, and now you have the total control. But you can see we created a small custom component which totally works as a drop down. Again, you can put a border, and all of these things can be done. So that's all for this video, and I will see you in the next one. The link of this particular project is already in the description, and you actually don't need this, you can simply remove. My bad. So that's all for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.